You're a guy who's 6'3". You fought the likes of Klitschko. You've had really, really tough fights. How do you do it being a plant-based vegan?
It's just a huge misconception of you actually need a specific amount of, animal products. And so we have to understand what works for you. I just think that the huge and large amounts of meat consumption is a big misconception. I don't believe it's a thing that somebody should not consume. I do for sure know that people consume a whole lot of it. I think people eat it too much. I think people don't drink enough water. People don't eat enough fruits. People don't get enough, exercise, sunlight, walking, and all of these other things. That's the problem with the world.
Right, welcome back to the podcast, Steve Sully Study. I have Mr. Bryant Jennings for a podcast part 2. Can you believe the first time that you and I spoke was at our former gallery space over in Soho in Archer Street, and that was in 2020.
Man, time goes by fast. Oh, man. Damn, 4 years. Wow.
Crazy, right?
Wow.
I think we've been put in a time machine.
Yeah, some kind of time machine, please. Time is going by way too fast.
Yeah. So, you're 39, 6'3", heavyweight boxer.
Yes.
Was nearly champion before.
Yes.
I know you've had some iconic fights against Klitschko, and there's loads of other fights that you've had, which we'll talk about shortly in the podcast. Will Bryant Jennings become world champion?
Yes. You'll always have to speak things into existence and never speak of any doubt. And whatever your mission or your goal is, always speak on it and see it through, regardless.
Absolutely.
Inshallah.
So you believe in the law of attraction?
Yes. And glad you said that. One of my friends sent me something yesterday, and they told me, they said, when you get some time, go ahead and look at it, look over. They sent me a few videos, maybe four videos. I didn't even do it yet. But also I was just exchanging with them and telling them that, Robert Greene is one of my favorite authors. And, he has a book, Law of Attraction. And, The Art of Seduction, those are great books. 48 Laws of Power are great books as far as, being able how to maneuver in the world of, power and society and things like that. So yes, Law of Attraction, for sure, I believe in that.
It looks like for a while you almost disappeared from the world of boxing. I mean, I actually was almost convinced for a while you was retired. And then there was a few posts by you like suggesting you're going to come back. And there was a couple of, it felt like setbacks. I don't know the full story, but it just from social media. But you've actually got a fight coming up next month in August in Philadelphia. You just told me. And this is about you. Can we call it a comeback? Is it a comeback fight?
Yeah, you can call it a comeback. Look, what's the song? Don't call it a comeback.
Yeah.
I've been here for years, but no. I guess you can call it a comeback. It's something that that's actually resurfacing, and I just want to be able to see what it feel like again. Get the ball rolling, and I have a goal that I understand that I have great abilities to be able to achieve. And I have great, positioning to be able to maneuver through politically and, physically, mentally, and all points, just to be able to achieve it. And so that's something that I feel as though that, I give it this last little hoorah and just let it go.
Yeah. So since I interviewed you, I feel like the landscape of boxing has changed. Some people say for the worse, some people say for the better, and some people are a bit more neutral about it. And I'm going to ask you the question shortly about your position on boxing as it is right now. But during that time, they've introduced a new weight, which is a bridger weight. And 2021, you were meant to fight Rivers against yourself.
Right.
You fought him in 2019, and it looked like you were dominating the fight until the last round, and I think you got stopped in a TKO.
Right.
Do you think that is a route you're going to go down? You're going to go down bridger weight eventually?
Yes, for sure. I think that's the place where I have more of the political positioning. And everything else just falls in line with my size, the lack of, I guess, because in the heavyweights right now, everything is it's so particular when you have those like the top 5 guys, and you figure in order to be able to get thrown in there, you have to do a lot. And I don't think that at this point of a career such as mine, or even at this reinserting point, that's something that could actually happen just like that, And so I think that taking a different route, a little shortcut, and also there's some accolades and some achievements to be able to acquire through that, and I just think that that's a better route for me. I think that that's a better option, and I can see it happening through that, and then making some moves. It's leverage at the end of the day.
Yeah. Our guy, Lawrence Okoli, is the Bridgerweight world champion. Stepped up from cruiserweight, and then he used to be former cruiserweight world champion. It looks like he wants to get to heavyweight status eventually, and he's using it as a bit of a stopgap and building up his sort of status. If they called upon you, Bryant Jennings, to fight Lawrence Okoli for the world Bridgerweight championship, what would be the outcome?
What would be the outcome? I mean, I never doubt myself at any point. The outcome would be that I would win. I think that would be the suggested outcome for me, my fans, my family. That is for me to win. I believe so as well. If that were to come like right away, I'd probably be like, Then again, I might be like, all right. It depends. It depends on how it's presented to me, if I were to be able to take it right away. But, I just want to focus on, knocking some of this rust off a little bit, just, and the rust is not necessarily technically, it's just, I think for us, like getting in the ring, period. People don't understand that that's a task in itself, to be able to like get in the ring and, you up under the lights. It don't matter how easy a fighter is, you are still, that's something that you just have to break loose from. Yeah.
I had Chris Billings-Smith on my podcast, who actually beat Lawrence Okoli for, I think it was a Cruiserweight World Championship. And, I mean, Lawrence he always looks like he gets the job done most of the time, clearly, because most of his record is wins, and he stops people. He doesn't look very kind of smooth to watch. He just kind of grinds out a result, and sometimes people criticize him for being fairly boring. But what I noticed as a fan, not as a boxing expert, just as a fan, I felt that once it was really stuck on him, like aggressively, he didn't really like that, and it kind of, there was floors were opening up. Would that be your game plan? Would you go and just stick it on him?
I mean, we talking prematurely at this point. I haven't thought of it that far. I haven't looked into it that far. It doesn't even necessarily have to be him. It's just so happened that he holds that position at this point. And so, so he would be the topic. He would be the topic, but not necessarily the focus. The focus follows with whomever holds that belt. But I'm not sure how it would happen. I haven't put that much energy into it as if it's a thing of tomorrow. I understand it's a thing to look forward to, but I haven't used that. I haven't utilized that type of, thought to be able to, compare me and him at this point right now.
I think he's moved away from being vegan, and I want to talk to you about the whole journey, being plant-based, vegan, etc. But I'll get onto that after some of the boxing topic. But I can imagine the media staging it as plant-based world champion versus plant-based, and seeing what the outcome is.
Yeah, that'll be a great marketing
vegan
thing.
Versus vegan.
Yeah, that'll be a great marketing thing right there.
Don't think I've ever seen that before.
Yeah, me, I'm one of the. Not to say the pioneers, but one of the pillars, in the modern day time, because there were definitely some guys back then that were plant-based, boxers, but modern day times, yes, definitely, a pillar in the plant-based community.
Joe Joyce versus Chisora. I know Chisora friend of yours,
Yes.
sparring partner. I think I said this to you last time on the last podcast. I think it's fairly famous as far as boxing content's concerned. If you type in Bryant Jennings sparring and you could put in Chisora or just leave that off, what will come up is you and him, and it's like two trains crashing into each other repeatedly for about 20 minutes, and it's mental because as a normal individual, even one of those punches would be devastating, but you guys just go blow for blow for a long time. He's obviously a very, very tough man. You're a very, very tough man. Joe Joyce is a very tough man, but it does look like since his last few fights against Zhang, wiped him out twice, he now has kind of flaws there, and we all have flaws, right, even as boxers or professionals, etc. But he was branded as the guy that was impossible to knock out because he was just so his bone density was so thick, they believed that it was impossible to knock him out. What's going to happen when Joe Joyce fights Derek Chisora at the O2?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I think that his first loss was me. That to me was just a fight that I was very displeased with the outcome. But come this Saturday, July 27th, I believe that there's a lesser Joe that's actually coming, and I think it's a great opportunity for Derek to be able to just add some good stamps onto his career. He's looking to just get to 50 fights, and he has 3 more fights, including this one and 2 others that he want to be able to bow out afterwards and just call it a day. And I think this is a great opportunity for him to just add another win, because Joe Joyce just doesn't seem like it seemed as if he's taken those 2 losses from Zhang, he's taken them very hard, and that was something that just actually broke him, and I don't think that he believes in himself as much, because basically it's like when you lose to the same guy twice, and now you're just looking at the landscape of boxing, and you had your hopes and your dreams, and that was just like damn, like it's a wrap for me. And so I just think that far as his feelings and his emotions internally, I don't think that he'll come full-fledged. And Derek is just full-fledged anyway, regardless whether he's in shape or out of shape or whatever. That's what people would say. But I'm just saying Derek always is in shape. But I'm just saying, far as being the put together fighter that they want everybody to be. It's like Derek is going to fight regardless, whether he's tired, whether he's fresh or whatever. And I think that is that will be a challenge for Joyce at this point.
I will agree with your statement, which I've seen online, and you've just basically said it now, that you believe that you beat Joe Joyce, and I hands down absolutely believe that you won that fight for sure. I feel like it was a bit like they wanted to get Joyce, build up his name and chuck him into the mix, and they felt he could be a bit of this kind of next golden goose. Yeah. And I felt, I don't want to say there was corruption there, but it does look like they were trying to be a lot more optimistic about everything that he was doing and a bit more pessimistic towards you. But I think on the face of it, you won that fight. Fighting Joe Joyce though, what are some of his strengths and what were some of the challenges that you came across? I mean, they talk about his power, right? Was he that powerful?
Didn't feel it. I think the only mistake that I made was not getting out the way after I punched. That was it. The only mistake that I made was not getting out of the way after I was finished punching, because technically it's like he would release punches after me. They weren't landing. But if I were to move out of the way, then you didn't have a body or a target to be able to even release punches on. So technically I think that was also the difference in the decisions that the judges made, win or loss, as far as him just being able to chuck punches, not landing regardless, but it's just looking like he was more active.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't feel anything from him.
Derek Chisora then, you've obviously shared countless amounts of ring time with him as far as sparring is concerned. Seems like you two are pretty good friends.
That's my brother, bro. Yeah.
Why haven't you ever fought him in a professional boxing fight?
I mean, why should I? I think it was one time that it did surface, and I just was thinking like, to me personally, he'll think the same way in his own way, but I'm just thinking like, nah, you can't beat me. Right? It's like a brother and a brother thing. Like, look, like you can't beat me now, right? It's like, all right, now it's like, but even though he has what it takes to be able to beat me, but he also knows that I have what it takes to be able to beat him as well. And so that was just a funny thing. It was actually right before he fought Gerald Washington, because Gerald and I and Derek are also cool as well. And so I guess Derek was just thinking like, yo, like who can I fight? Like, come on, like they put me on this card. I need somebody to fight right now. Come on, let's go. And it would have been fun. It would have been fun, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna say I don't know why it didn't happen, but it just didn't happen.
Yeah, the public opinion about Derek Chisora. I mean, I've been a boxing fan of his for a very, very long time. I've got to meet him a few times because training down at the Haymaker, and I've sparred down there and stuff, and I've bumped into him a few times. Good friend of mine is Ruben Tabarez as well.
Okay,
Ruben,
okay.
I've got to sort of hang out with him for a little while. And he is a bit of a nuts kind of character in a funny way. He's got good banter. He's a bit scary at times. He's a bit psychopathic at times, but then he'll come out with something really witty and funny. And he's a really good character for boxing. It's going to be a very sad day when he goes. But the public opinion or the public view is probably like, it's gone like that over time. It's like he's a villain, then he's like the hero, then he's a villain, there's a hero. Where do you think he goes down in boxing history?
In boxing history, what, worldwide or London history? London history is definitely something that he would be amongst the top. In London history, they love him, and he's current. A lot of times, like a lot of these people and these fans have kind of like short attention span. Sometimes they forget you after 5-10 years, and Derek's pretty much fresh in it. And I understand that sometimes things diminishes because they have a new fighter that they like, but I just think that Derek is definitely a hometown favorite. And far as in London, he'll be amongst the top. Far as in the world, it's a big world. It's a big world, and it's a big world. I don't even know where I would fall. They just they had something. It was some paper or some article, far as Philadelphia fighters. Top 10 Philadelphia fighters of the 21st century or whatever. Top 10. And I was number 10. And I said, the fuck? And I just was like, okay, no offense to anybody that was, that was above me. But I'm just thinking like, I'm number 10? I'm just thinking like, man, let me see who the fuck else is on this list. Because I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. You can say, you say what
no,
you want.
Look, hey, look, the hood start coming out. Like, look, yeah, the hood start the hood start coming out. I'm like, yeah, no, them dudes. I'm like, yeah, that was blasphemy a little bit, but I just was like, hey, it is what it is. Man.
Yeah. Is he? And last point of that, Derek Chisora, because I think he's a fascinating character. Is he as crazy as sometimes he appears to be on TV?
Crazy. Look, you see how I'm thinking. I was like, yeah, and this whole thing gonna have to be recorded. Like, nah, he's not as crazy, but he has buttons, and it's like, don't tap them. Don't press them buttons.
Well, like when he chucked a whole table at Dylan White in the press conference.
Oh yeah, that's Derek. He'll do that, because Derek also knows when to do certain things, and and it's just he will test you, and he will follow up with what he initiated too. That's the whole thing. He's not going to do something, initiate something, and then somebody stand up and then he backs down. Like, no, he's ready for it. He's always ready for it. And so whatever he initiates or instigates, he's ready for the follow-up. He has the follow-up in his head. And then if he don't have it in his head, you better pray he a positive reaction comes to mind first, because if a negative one comes, then it's just he has his back against the wall. You don't want that.
Yeah. Vladimir Klitschko, you fought him in 2015 for the WBC, WBO, IBO, and I think IBF as well.
Yeah, it was WBA, WBO, IBF.
Okay.
Yeah, WBC was held by somebody else.
Sadly, didn't get the outcome, the desired outcome. Yeah. But Klitschko was reigning for a very, very long time, undisputed, and a phenomenal fight. Again, someone that might be criticised as being a little bit robotic and quite boring, but got the job done. Yeah. Do you ever kind of reflect on the fight against Klitschko and thought, do you know what? I could have done this, and then I could have been champion.
Yeah, I thought of that right after, like literally right after the fight. We went back to our hotel room. It was me, couple of my homies. Lennox Lewis was in there as well, and I just was looking like, I was like, damn, I didn't know I could. I could have just. But it was too late. But I think I was so much in awe, because you got to think about it. I started boxing at 24 years old. I started and, turned pro at 25, and I was fighting Klitschko 29, 30 years old. And so I was just thinking like, look, man, this whatever. Technically, in some aspect of my thoughts and my reaction to the fight, I was just thinking like, motherfucker, he knocked me out. It's like, it was that was some of it, but I did also think that like damn, like I really could have. I mean, because I was testing him. I was like, look, bro, like I am in fire right now. It's like people do not understand the mindset. When you got a guy that has 58 knockouts or however many knockouts he had, and I had only had 19 fights, and I'm just thinking like, yeah, y'all think I'm that crazy? Which I was, to go in with this amount of confidence versus this amount or this, this far away opposition. It's like damn, that took somebody crazy to be able to go in with not an ounce of fear. So yeah, I did think that I could do more, but that was after the fight, and I just think like, shh.
Have you ever bumped into Klitschko after the fight, and has he ever given you some feedback like, do you know what, Bryant, you were
never seen that motherfucker again?
No,
I don't think I ever seen Vlad again. I think I seen Vitaly at one point, but I don't think I ever seen Vlad. Nobody really ever sees Vlad. Yeah, nobody really ever sees Vlad. I mean, when's the last time he even surfaced anywhere? Nobody's seen him.
There was rumors. There was leaked kind of sparring footage probably about 18 months ago, 2 years ago, and he actually spoke into the camera, said something along the lines of, I'm retired, but I haven't given it up. And he was kind of suggesting there was rumors that he might come back for a couple of fights.
No,
he's past it now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying based off of what I believe, and I just think it's the ego was the last thing to go, and I understand that even with me making this return, I have to be able to decipher the difference and measure the amount of ego versus mental ability, physical ability, and then put all of those things in perspective, to be able to solidly come to an agreement to say, okay, I'm gonna do this, and I understand that physically it is what it is. I'm there. It's cool, technically yes as well, and so these are the things that I thought about. But when you get to an older age, that ego is the last thing to go. You say, yeah, I can do it. I used to be this. I used to be that. Like you walk in rooms, you're not getting the love you're not getting the same amount of love that you used to get, and you just looking like, damn. You see a whole bunch of new, younger faces, and if you are not as a confident person, you're not going to take that very well. Your ego is going to be bruised. That's one of the reasons why. Like I understand that this is it's inevitable, and so I always show love to the next person. First and foremost, I always believe that I don't necessarily have to be the superstar. I mean, like me coming up, I was around superstars. Andre Ward, Terrence Crawford, and people like that. It's like literally like right next to him. So I'm just thinking like, wow, these dudes are already bad. And I still, even though I'm in my own weight class and I have my own little path going on, Gennady Golovkin, it's like same thing. It's like these are the people that are doing their thing now, and I still have to be able to get to that point. And I understand that everybody doesn't get to that point. So that was my realization then. And so I'm like, yo, if I don't get to that point, at least I would be a help or be of service or be good or be nice to someone that may be, because you never know. You shit on somebody on your way up, you're gonna have to see them people on your way down. So all of the younger fighters, I always make sure I show love, because at the end of the day, it is what it is. My time is past. Here's the torch. You have it now. You do your thing, run with it. So yeah.
What has definitely changed, or let's say been emphasized a lot more since our first conversation, Bryant, is the rise of Saudi Arabia and the money. Is that a good thing for boxing?
It's the rise and the fall of it too, as well. There's some things that has transpired within that, and we're seeing changes, and it's not something that's a solid thing as of right now. Even though we have like the Riyadh season or whatever, but the way it started is not the way it's going right now. Their plan and their whole plan and their whole landscape of it still maybe it might be on track, but they've come across some great obstacles as well, to the point where things aren't as productive as they projected it to be when it first came out. So it has a rise, not necessarily a fall, but it has a rise, and it has its problems and discrepancies already.
Yeah. Have you been out there to watch any fights?
So what? Yeah. Well, in 2019, I was the first fight that was actually over there with Ruiz and AJ the rematch.
Okay.
So that was a great experience. And I think that every other fight that's out there, I kind of like. I don't really like going to fights like that. For the most part, it was almost like me having to actually revisit that atmosphere of something that I'm trying to like break away from. It's almost like if you got an ex and y'all used to go to this restaurant, you'd be like, look, fuck this restaurant, man. I'm not going nowhere near this restaurant, anything named anywhere near it, because you're trying to literally just get away from the thought of that actual thing, which was boxing for me. So yeah, I kind of didn't attend any other fights in Saudi Arabia.
Look, people that are on the payroll, who are spokespeople kind of for Riyadh season and the whole Saudi thing. Obviously, if your pockets are be aligned, it's the best thing since sliced bread. If you're kind of someone on the sideline and you can have an opinion, not from a bitter place, just from a neutral place, I'm hearing the atmosphere over there isn't actually that great. It's not like Madison Square Garden. It's not like Las Vegas. It's not like, I don't know, Wembley or the O2 or Cardiff, maybe. Will the atmosphere take some time to get there in Saudi as far as boxing is concerned, or do you think it's never going to be replicated over there?
It might not ever be replicated. It might enhance or improve, but I just don't think that it could be replicated, for the simple fact that you're comparing, like the Vegases and the Madison Square Gardens to a non-Muslim environment. And at the end of the day, these people have a lot of money. They put their money up and they want things to go like how they want it to go. And money talks for them. And we see that, based off of their successes in boxing, it basically was because of their money. Their money and I guess their integrity at some point. They were allowed to be able to work with other people to be able to create different shows, but they put that money up. That's what, like you said, you just said it, your pockets lined and all that. Yeah, they put that money up, and so as long as you put the money up, you get the right people around to be able to orchestrate and do all that. But at the end of the day, even though you orchestrate something, it's like, look, y'all got to remember, it's on my terms, and it could easily be taken over because money is the ruler of a lot of different things. And a lot of people would literally probably almost sell the whole sport just to line their pockets up and just to be able to have it somewhere else. And now it's just turned into something different. And don't be surprised if we don't see that. And not saying anyone would be responsible for either the demise of it or the uprise of it, but I'm just saying, when you have money involved and when you have, people that have or created opportunities to be able to acquire money, when that's involved, certain things is on the line. It's for sale. Yeah. It's for sale. It's for sale. It's for sale. And that's the reason why, like, look, I gotta get up in here and get some of this. You know what I mean? Get some of this, while I can, and while I'm able at this point, because once it's over, and it's going to be monopolized to a point where it's. I mean, just look at the landscape of it from now 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and as you go back further and further, it's just pretty much monopolized, and it's just you have just a few networks, and now all of a sudden you're about to have just 2 or 3 networks and every other little streaming site that might come on. It's like they're making it more harder to be able to start from the bottom, and you have to have money to just throw at them to be able to get in, and if you can't secure your spot, you're out. Period, point blank.
Over there, they've had some fairly iconic fights in recent years. We've got a couple coming up. And then the thing I do rate them for, again, money speaks. They got the 5 versus 5 done, which is Matchroom against Queensberry. They managed to get Eddie Hearn working alongside Frank Warren, which has never happened in history, which is...
You seen all that money that was in that?
There you go. Yeah. Big money.
Yeah.
Someone that you definitely know from the other side of the pond, your neck of the woods, not literally, Deontay Wilder. Lost against Joe Parker and lost against Zhang fairly badly.
Right.
Is Wilder finished?
Is he finished? That could be... That's subjective, but yes, to me, I believe that he's complete. He's completed. Because I wouldn't say finished for somebody like Wilder, because finished is almost like you're done, and it's kind of like a person that put that amount of time and effort, energy and love and all of that into it. Saying finished is just like damn, like yeah. But I just think that he's complete. He done everything that he can do, and just rightfully so. And speaking, it's almost like when somebody dead. If somebody's dead, you're not gonna say he out of here, like, or he's gone. Like, man, bro, have some respect for the deceased. It's like he's moved on. In a sense, and just trying to have a level of respect for people that gave so much to the game. And when you have a tragedy that removes you before the time that you expect you to be removed. That's the reason why I was so comfortable with leaving boxing. I'm like, okay, look, I'm gonna leave. I ain't gonna let y'all kill me. I'm gonna leave. That way I had the decision to make myself leave. But when you're removed prematurely or in a way where you wouldn't project yourself to be able to be removed, then that's a little hurtful. So I'm just gonna say he's complete. I think he did enough. And I just think that, boxing has took a toll on him mentally to the point where it's just changed him. And I just think that, and I'm speaking just in case if I was in this position, and I'm trying to be right too, because it's very touchy, and I will see him, and I do know him personally, and I don't ever want to speak, so crazy about somebody, but I just think that he's had enough. He's had enough, and his time has come to an end.
Will he retire? Do you think?
Yeah, I believe that he will retire.
Yeah. If they said, look, one more fight, we want you and Bryant Jennings in Saudi Arabia for uber amount of money.
Yeah,
you're gonna take it.
That'd be the nail in the coffin. That'd be a nail in the coffin for either one of us, though, because you still can't be able to sleep on them. But no, I just think, no, for sure. It's like if those opportunities ever come, just thinking like, look, man, you had Holyfield and Tyson talking about they fighting. Like, you mean, like, and Holyfield did come back. So you can raise somebody from the dead when that money is involved. You know what I mean? When that money start talking, you know, the dead start listening. I mean, that money's the only thing that can make them dead people listen. You know, and so it can happen if that was to take place. Yes.
We've got a few fights coming up. AJ against Dubois. Here's a quote recently from IFL TV.
Okay.
And it was by Martin Bakole.
Oh yeah, Martin Bakole. He's fighting Jared Anderson next week too. Yeah.
Bakole claims, and I'm reading this verbatim. Bakole claims that Dubois will give up against AJ. What do you think he means by that?
Well, I guess based off of see Daniel has a lot to be able to prove every time, especially going out, you know, with his 2 losses, you know, the one from Joyce where, you know, he had the eye injury, and then his he suffered a loss from Usyk. And you know, people have painted, or he painted that himself, you know, to be able to be that type of fighter that will give up. You know, this is not something that you got to think about. It just is what it is based off of his, you know, his last 2 losses, the losses that he had, and people definitely underestimate AJ, and I believe AJ has gotten better. And for Martin to make such a statement, you know, or a prediction, you know, it's not far-fetched dealing with what we know that AJ can actually bring. But on the flip side of things, you know, Daniel does have a new trainer. You know, he is a younger guy, and it all depends on how he recovers or recovered, you know, from past problems or issues. And you know, how he plans to, you know, redisplay, you know, his talents, you know, at this level. And so it's that's just one of them fights where, you know, you really just, you know, once that bell ring, you're gonna have to see it. I believe that AJ is more polished at this point, but you know, you can never write, you know, the other opponent off. This is the heavyweight division, and I did see Daniel worked well against Hrgovic. I thought Hrgovic was better than that, but you know, man, damn, that was bad. But so yeah, I guess it really is just something that, you know, we should just look forward to, because I don't really want to keep talking bad about either or good about either and just becoming biased, because, you know, as time go on and things are brewing, and you know, we start to have different thoughts and you know, different thoughts about the fight and how the fight's gonna play out and stuff like that, but. Yeah, understood. He's capable of quitting. So to Martin Bakole's to his statement, he's capable of quitting.
Yeah. I see where he's going, because against Joe Joyce, look, his eye socket was damaged, but some people will say he quit. I think it might be a little bit unfair to say that, but yeah, you can see where they're coming from. And then against Usyk, even though he was doing really well, and many people claimed he properly dropped him, he almost seemed like he gave up a little bit after a while, but only time will tell, I guess. I personally believe, I'm a fan of AJ. I think he's gonna demolish Dubois, if I'm being honest, but let's just see. One more kind of thing about these fights coming up, Fury Usyk Part 2, which takes place in December. What was your opinion on the first fight, and what is your opinion how the second fight is going to pan out?
Man, so here's the thing. I don't really be watching these fights.
Okay, fair enough.
I ain't gonna even hold you. I may go to YouTube. It'll be like a 14-minute video or a 7-minute video, or like the fight highlights. You know, when it's a lot of buzz around certain things, or if it shows up on the channel or whatever. But a lot of times I don't like especially within these past times. Like my mind been elsewhere. But they're going to make sure that they show you that round 9 though. You know, when Usyk almost had him out, they're going to make sure they show you that round 9. But I guess I can make an assumption based off of knowing both fighters.
Have you sparred both fighters?
No, I haven't. I didn't spar neither. But I'm just saying, knowing both fighters, they're their adversities within outside of the ring, inside of the ring, and how they prepare for fights, how they come back from certain things. We've seen Fury. Now here's the thing: we've seen Fury come back from everything. Fury's a person who's rose from the dead quite a few times, and so when it comes to the rematch with him and Usyk, I just believe that Fury also knows that, listen, he has to come correct. He has to be better. And as far as Usyk is just a special person. It's like, damn, this little motherfucker, can't nobody beat this dude. And so, we just look forward to the rematch. But I do know that Fury had some success throughout the fight. So it was a close fight. So I've heard and so I've seen, far as whatever little bit of the fight that I did see. And so I just think that that Fury's going to work hard to close those gaps. And I think far as Usyk is just probably going to have to work harder. I don't know if there's going to be any more things that Usyk might be like, okay, well, I seen this open, I seen that. Usyk might just gonna have to work harder to be able to create. See, Usyk is a creator. Usyk, he just create openings and spaces based off of his movements and things like that. And so he's gonna have to do a lot more of that versus Fury, just correcting certain mistakes, because Usyk didn't really make any mistakes. Especially as far as I've seen, he just has to work harder to be able to create more. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. I want to ask you, broadly speaking, not directly at you, but I would sort of appreciate if you could give us a little bit of insight to what I'm about to ask you. So the truth about the money in boxing, here's what I'm trying to get at. Mayweather, 50-0, the best ever, just bought a second private jet, got two I think they called it Air Mayweather. Really emphasizes money, really emphasizes having nice things in life, and I'm all for it. I think it's great. If you've earned it, spend it however you want to spend it. I'm all for it. Obviously, there's been major fights in history where some fighters are making 100, 200 million, yeah? And for the younger demographic out there, and I probably fell into this category when I was younger, if I saw someone on TV, if I saw someone competing as a professional athlete, whether that was boxer, tennis player, or footballer, you naturally assume that these people are absolutely rolling in money. However, I then interviewed Chris Smith, who now is, world champion. And I asked him, I said, look, I'm not asking you to reveal your tax returns and stuff and how many assets you got, but give us an insight, because being not a professional boxer, but being in the circuit a little bit, sparred professionals, had 16 fights myself, I've got to know the journeys of these boxers. And some of them have been champion, but they've been struggling a little bit. And it's only when they make a couple more fights, then they go on to become very, very successful. Chris Smith, he told us a little story in the podcast that he was going to a weigh-in or a press conference. Anyway, a family came outside into the car park, and there was a Ferrari sitting there, and the woman said, "Oh, could we have a photo?" So he said, "Yeah, no problem." And she went, "Oh, is that your Ferrari?" And he laughed. He said, "No." He said, "That's my car." But then he was driving his mother-in-law's like Hyundai or something like that. And he said that is the misconception, because you're on TV and because you were a champion, people naturally assume that you're getting hundreds of millions of pounds for the fights. An insight to maybe slightly your journey. Is it super fruitful at the start, or is it a little bit? Is there a bit of a misconception about money and the box and someone's boxing journey?
No, I think in today's era, it's more fruitful than it was. I guess it gets to be more fruitful as time goes on, but it also, I guess. So let's just say, for instance, like, so before you had a lot of people, you had a lot of fighters that would receive the fruit, right? So per fighter is less fruitful. Okay. Nowadays, you have less fighters receiving maybe even the same amount of fruit. So you have more fruitful but less fighters. And so let's just say, for instance, if you have the top 10 pound for pound people, those are the only people that are actually making, like buku money. He trying to creep over it. You got to fix that little floor part. Those are the only people. Those are the only people that are actually making a lot of the money. So, especially like coming from like the cruiserweight division don't necessarily make a lot of money. And so some of the superstars, it's almost like the NBA as well. So most people think since you're an NBA player, you get all of this, you have money, you got these contracts. Man, only the superstars get that money. And I just think that when it comes to boxing, it's pretty much the same way. But it's people that know how to hustle. Then it's people that know how to take care of their money. It's people that that do great things with their money. I mean, look, you have people who made more money than someone, and then at the end of the day, 5 years later, someone that has made less than half of what they made is doing twice as better than them. So it's all about how you manage your money and things like that. But for sure, right now we have less fighters, more fruit. Before we had more fighters that distributed it, less. We distributed the same amount of fruit, but it carried across a bunch of fighters. And so right now it's just a little bit of fighters with the same amount of fruit. And so, like I said, only the superstars. And so if you are not, and I'm not even going to name the names or speak names because now that's putting them on the spot as if, they are the ones that got the money. But, we know like the bigger names in boxing. I mean, I could say a Canelo because that's easy. I could say AJ because that's easy. Fighters like that are the ones that's where it fits. Fuck all that. They can deny that all they want. Y'all motherfuckers got that money. But when it comes to everybody that's in that position, it don't necessarily distribute down like that. So yeah.
Because again, I'm not trying to get. I've asked a couple of fighters, including my last interview with Archie Sharp, and I was like, I remember I used to sponsor a guy called Bradley Skeet, who was a British champion. And he was like, it's only when you get to this level, British champion and above, that's when you start getting fairly decent money. But he was getting about £35,000, probably about $50,000 in today's market, per fight. Now, really and truly, you've got to fight at least 2 or 3 times for it to become kind of worth it. Because once you take out the trainer, once you take out the nutritionist, once you take out your travel and your recovery, you're chopping down. So your 28 fights, I'm not going to ask you about Klitschko and stuff like that, but give us an idea, your 5th pro fight. What was Bryant Jennings on?
I mean, shit, well, yeah, listen, I started at 24 and I turned pro at 25. And we fought for let's see, for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me see, maybe 6 one was different. $750 for your first 5 fights, and then things went to $1,500. And then I also was with a local promoter, and it was what it was because I had to be able to work to be able to get my name out there. So we had to take those shorts, and then a little further into the career, we came across, some discrepancies in some of the things. But even when I got to NBC Sports, it wasn't what it should have been, but I also wasn't as I was building a name as well. And so you can't just give, a prospect just because I'm fighting, well, I mean, if I bought in that much, I believe that, yeah, I probably should have been receiving that much, but it definitely wasn't what it was. I didn't really start making anything significantly until I got with HBO. And that was my 17th fight. Right. It might have been here and there in between, but yeah, significantly, when you start to hit, a particular figure, yeah, it wasn't until HBO. And then all those comeback fights. Oh man, them joints was for free, man. It's like them joints for free. Like 20 stacks, you'd be like, yeah, all right, go ahead, do that. Just piss that away. It's like, yeah, hun, that's for that, that's for this, that's for that. Like even the fight that I'm coming back on, I am donating every dime that I'm getting. I won't get anything for it. I'm donating it all. So because the money is no offense to whoever need it, but it's not anything. So I have a nonprofit organization in mind that you want to be able to contribute to, and that's where the proceeds would actually go. Nice. So it's few and far in between. And once you become like a solid household name where you're selling out arenas every time, then that's when you expect it to be able to receive at least a minimum. But with boxing and these promoters, they know how to take you off the board a little bit, make your stock go down a little bit, hold you off a little bit, give you a little layoff, come back and be like, this is the only thing we got. And so that's just the whole part of the game. And those are the stresses that nobody really knows that the fighter actually goes through.
That's the politics, right?
Yeah.
You're famous for being a boxer, but if there is non-boxing fans, they might have come across you because they're Netflix fans. And you was on a very, very famous, very successful show called The Game Changer, 2018, which was uber successful. And regardless whether you're a vegan, plant-based, vegan, or whether you're against it, I think a lot of people are talking about it. I mean, I listen to a lot of podcasts, including Joe Rogan, and he had a whole podcast on there with one of the producers or one of the founders of that. Chris, is his name Chris, the MMA guy? He's like the spokesperson on it.
Oh my God.
You know what I'm talking about? English guy.
Yeah, oh my God. I cannot think. I can't think of his name right now. I really just can't. It'll come to me. I promise you, it'll come to me.
All good. So,
oh my God.
That was a very, very interesting watch, and I've watched it a couple of times. How did it change your profile and your fame, I guess, when you was on The Game Changer on Netflix?
Yeah, it enhanced it in a different light. I would rather be known from that than something else as well, because that also was like part of your personality. And so these are things that don't require ego, don't require a particular amount of performance. It just requires, your energy, your input, your character, who you are. And so that was more fitting for me. That there was more fitting for me, and for me to be an inspiration to a lot of people across the world. It's like there's quite a few people who are plant-based or who have changed their diet or their lifestyle, because of me. And that's the part where that's how I get paid, like mentally or whatever. Right? It's like a mental compensation to be able to like fuel me and my purpose a lot more. And it actually put it exactly where it needs to be, because it had people focus on me, the person, versus me, just what I do.
Yeah. I hear that. Certainly my dad, or certainly the older generation, would be like, you must have 700 steaks in order to become fit, strong. And if you're an athlete, especially if you're a fighter, a boxer, you need all that protein. You're a guy who's 6'3". You're a big dude. You fought the likes of Klitschko. You've had really, really tough fights. How do you do it being a plant-based vegan?
I mean, it's just a huge misconception of the fact that you actually need a specific amount of animal products. And then now we thinking about in today's era, it's like this food is not even food. Like it's like in America, we have these places. Well, I know in Philly, I don't know if these places are in any other city, but they call DaVita dialysis. And so these are right, DaVita, and DaVita is the name of a company, and dialysis is basically it's something where people who have either kidney issues or whatever, and you're going on dialysis, which is a machine that may help pump your blood through kidneys or whatever it is. Right? It just sounds crazy. And they have a shitload of them all around the city. And people would rather go into there or be admitted into there based off of their failure of health, than to actually change their diets. And so, just looking at stuff like that is just, I just see the landscape of the importance or the failure of health. And so we don't, even the people who's eating what they say we should eat, they're not walking around being giants and superhumans either. Like, these people are sick. These motherfuckers is dying. And these are the people that are representing, eating on the American diet and all that shit. So I'm like, man, if I see so much of that, what makes you think I'm gonna eat what they eat? Like, you see everybody and you see me? Like, there's a huge difference. And so why the hell would I want to eat the same thing that they eat? And so we have to understand, basically what works for you. And you have to understand what works for your body type, what works for your blood type. And I think all of that is a misconception too, because everything is pretty much created and formed so we can follow it, so it can fill and line somebody else's pockets. Because technically, if you look and you read about certain fruits or whatever, and they say, yeah, this fruit is bad for you, you're like, oh yeah, and then you could talk to a holistic doctor and say, man, I didn't cure plenty of people by just feeding them this. And you're like, yeah, but Google said, yeah, fuck Google. Don't stop looking and listening to Google. And so everything is just a huge misconception. And I just think that the huge and large amounts of meat consumption is a big misconception. I don't necessarily think and believe, especially like for me being vegan for this long periods of time, I don't believe it's a thing that somebody should not consume. I do for sure know that people consume a whole lot of it. But me myself, I have never slipped up. I have never. Let me see. Did I accidentally do something one time? No, it was one time. I was in Dallas one time, and it was like the fried rice, and I was in camp a couple years ago, and
there's some pork.
Well, it ain't had no pork. It had eggs in it. But I told him, I said, make sure I don't have none. But I wasn't eating in the dark, but it was late night. And I'm like, yo, I spar in the morning, and I gotta eat. And so as I'm eating, I'm just thinking like, and I'm like, this motherfucker, man. It was like I think I was the last person, and whatever it was. And so I didn't continue eating it, but that's the only way that I would have ever slipped up ever. Yeah, I'm talking ever. I never looked at a piece of meat and just looking at that shit like, damn, bro. I just give it to me. I just start all over. No, I never do no shit like that.
Yeah, fair enough.
So yeah. It's just a huge misconception on the consumption. Huge misconception on the consumption of meat. I think people eat it too much. I think people don't drink enough water. People don't eat enough fruits. People don't get enough, exercise, sunlight, walking, and all of these other things. That's the problem with the world.
You may not remember, but when I spoke to you before, I was going on my own journey with, testing out things, and I've been pescatarian now for 5 years. So I've done no meat. I don't go out my way to eat eggs, but if someone, I don't know, I've had a pancake and it's got eggs in it, but I'm mostly, I'm pescatarian, and there's a lot of the time I eat vegetarian food, and I've just gone on this journey for 5 years now, and I enjoy it. There are sometimes I think to myself, should I go back to even a little bit of red meat occasionally? But at the moment I'm feeling fairly fine. The internet, social media, Google, friends, doctors, nutritionists, so-called experts. There's a lot of misplaced facts out there, and I'll tell you what. One thing, I interviewed a guy recently called Jamie Jewett. Now, he used to be an old Calvin Klein model, right? And he had what we call a normal westernized diet, fairly clean. Then he ballooned up in weight, really bad, like got fat, like a fat dad. And now, when they walked through the doors to do the podcast recently last week, he's in shape, he's ripped. He's actually he's a bit like yourself, actually. He's your height. He was actually running a podcast called Fighting on the Inside with Johnny Nelson. He's interviewed Mayweather. Cool guy. Really, look him up. And I said, how have you turned it all around? And he said, well, again, my diet. I went from a normal westernized diet to a vegan for, how long did he say he was a vegan for? Not too long, probably about 4 or 5 months or 6 months. He was a vegetarian for a year and a half, but now he's straight carnivore, and he's got really ripped, and he says he's got a lot of energy. But then I speak to other people like Harlem Eubank, who's been on my podcast a few times, a good friend of mine who's a pro boxer, and he's straight plant-based. And he also says he's really, really fit and healthy. A trainer told me once, he said, look, it's not the diet so much, it's because when you go from one extreme to the other, as in your raw plant-based or your carnivore, the factor is this: you're eating clean, you're cutting out all the sugars and all the crap, and you're focused on the real food, whether that is plant-based or whether that's carnivore. What is the truth? What is better, carnivore or plant-based?
Right. Yeah. I would believe it's just different types of people. People, different ethnicities come from different parts of the world, and their biological makeup is different, and different blood types and things like that. I just don't think that eating meat, just eat meat, to me I would assume that the person probably stinks. And it's probably like you just like your senses when you're plant-based. Oh my God, your senses is just like elevated. You can smell something. You can be like, yo, y'all don't smell that? You be like, dang. And you can smell things that are out of the ordinary. I remember it was this one time. It's like I was with my brother and we stopped, and he stopped into a cheesesteak place. Like, we're gonna get a cheesesteak, and I'm just thinking yo, you don't smell it? Like, it smelled like a farm. And everybody else was so used to the smell that they didn't think so. And I was asking, yo, y'all don't smell that? And I guess it was just me that literally just smelled like flesh. And I'm like, yo, you can, like, this is very strong. This is something that's like, yo, if it smelled like this, I would not want to eat it. I don't care how it tastes. I just don't want to eat it. And so these are things that people are just used to, man. And it's like, whatever works for you, man. Whatever works for you. If somebody wants to, go on like all meat and all, look, it is what it is. It's like, show whichever person that lives the longest,
is the winner.
Is the winner. Like, that's it, man. It's just the winner, because, and it's not even to say that whatever I do is best. I just know that it's best for me. I just whatever is best for you, that's just what it is. Because we're going. It's the one guy on Instagram. He eats like raw liver. It's like
the Liver King.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, it's like, yo, just blood. Don't even cook it. And I'm like, this dude's still living. And I'm just thinking like, shit. You ain't about to convince me to do that shit. But it's like it works for him. Okay, cool. Like, whatever it is, it's just. It's just become educated, become inclined, become informed, and become just have a balance. Just create a balance for yourself. I do think that fruits and vegetables is definitely something that you should be eating. People that just don't eat any fruits and vegetables, it's like, but you want to eat everything that eats all of the fruits and vegetables. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, something that I definitely sort of learned. And you kind of can fall into the trap, like when how do I say this? It was almost like a bit of one time that everyone was converting to the plant-based because it felt like the new fashionable thing to do.
It was very trendy.
Trendy, right? Yeah. Obviously, when Game Changers come out, everyone's going to jump on it. Now you've got this guy called Eddie Abu who's now talking about only eating eggs, and some of his messaging, I actually agree with some of it. Again, he's talking about don't eat anything which is chemicals, don't eat anything which is made in a lab, don't eat loads of refined sugar, but eat either meat or eggs, etc. And I can see some of the logic behind what he's saying. But you then start seeing people which are eating Beyond Meat burgers. And when you start going through all the chemicals and all the ingredients in Beyond Meat burgers, they're going, yeah, it's healthy because it's plant-based. No, it's not. It's got all these chemicals in it.
I don't touch that.
Yeah, and like stuff like, I don't know, sugar-free Monster energy drink or these Huel drinks. They're positioned as a health drink, but if you go down the actual ingredients, there's stuff I can't even pronounce.
Right.
How are they positioned as healthy products?
Yeah, they're marketed as healthy products, and And even like that Beyond Meat and all that processed meat stuff like that, I don't touch none of it. Yeah, I don't touch none of it. I don't trust it. I don't believe in it. And then, you know, that fake scientist guy bought a lot of it. You know,
Bill Gates.
Yeah, you know, now this podcast might be flagged now that we said a specific name, but yeah, he bought a lot of it, and anything that he gets behind, you know, there's another thing where he owns as well, where they contaminate the fruits in a way where they will actually put, you know, some of that stuff in the fruits. You know, they put check out for them stickers. If you know, you know. You know what I mean? Check out for them stickers. You know, it's a particular name or brand name that's on stickers of certain fruits that would, you know, that means that they are injected with that, you know that the whole
pesticides or whatever they
the jab.
Yeah.
You know, the jab is infected with the jab, and it's something called Appeal. So we just gonna say that like that. Okay. Some call Appeal. It's a company called Appeal. And they're actually, it's a lot of lettuce and a lot of tomatoes and stuff like that, where they say that, you know, you can actually consuming a lot of that, you will get the same amount. You consuming a particular amount, you'll get a dosage of like the COVID vaccine or the mRNA vaccine or whatever like that. So yeah, so they actually put the vaccines in actual foods. Crazy. Yeah, it's just crazy. It's stupid. Yeah, so you just gotta watch what you eat.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think to round this kind of segment off, I think if you're going to eat meat or eat fruit or veg or whatever, make sure you get it from real places. You know, me and my wife and my kids, we live near a farm, and we go there to get most of our stuff. Because when you buy it from the supermarket and you buy it from a farm, you look at it, and just by the shape of it, you can see which one is more organic than something which is, you know, genetically modified.
Yeah, GMO. Can't do the GMO.
Yeah. Nah. Can I ask an insight to a heavyweight boxer who is preparing for a fight? On your diet and insight, how do you lean up as a professional heavyweight, as a plant-based vegan?
I mean, you already become lean. I think that I'm also the type of person that just was blessed with a body that I have to work to keep up, but I didn't have to work to create. I mean, I understand that by also looking at my son and just seeing that his genetics is of his father's. Yeah. And you know, maybe his mother's side as well, because you know his mother's father has good genetics as well. But you know, I just think a lot of it is just genetics. But for me to be this way, it's just a blessing. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, it's just a blessing, and everybody don't turn out to be this way. But I do think that if you do want more definition, you really do just have to work, you know, because you always have to work on building muscle and doing different things to be able to create the definition. And then, you know, your body will be asking for more of something. And that's how you get to know your body more, by testing it, pushing it to the limits. And you be like, oh, okay, well, you know what? Maybe I'll get this supplement because I feel like this, I feel like that, or add some more magnesium, or get more of a well-rounded supplement, you know, based off of whatever you're doing new. And so when you're pushing your body to the limit and you're being focused and disciplined on a plant-based diet, you know, you'll see changes, and you know you'll see changes if you start doing push-ups, you know, because now you're actually building muscle, you're building physique. You know, you're doing all of these things, different things like that. And it just comes with less inflammation. And so when it comes with less inflammation, then you have more lean, you know, instead of like having more inflammation in bulk, you just look swollen. Just look like if you poke somebody, they're gonna deflate or whatever. So yeah, so with me, it's just like my body is literally just, it is what it is. I'm really just skin, bones, and muscle. You know, that's it. You know, I'm like the perfect form of you know, in a biological class where they have a diagram of a body, when they show your shoulders and how everything, and they show you all the rips. It's like, yeah, that's me right there. But I just think that a lot of it is credited to genetics, which that is a blessing, but it's also me actually pushing my body to the limit and finding different ways to create the balances and to be able to regulate how I feel, how much I should intake and things like that.
You're a person that's definitely in tune with wellness, health, and fitness.
For sure.
Fasting, do you consciously go out there to fast and put your body under a state of a bit of stress to get more out of it?
Well, yeah, especially during certain times, by me being Muslim, during the month of Ramadan, we fast 30 days. And also, throughout the times, different months or different weeks, we make sure that we fast a couple of days. But if I'm in training, there is no missing any meals. I do not have to be able to lose weight or to be able to make a certain weight. But it is fun to just sometimes just see how long you can go without eating. It's just a discipline of not putting anything into your body, knowing that fasting is something that's actually beneficial. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna see how long I can't eat. I'm just gonna just do it. Just wake up and be like, all right, I ain't gonna eat, and just literally just don't eat. Just be like, all right, let me see. I might need to drink some water or whatever. All right, so now we're just gonna see how long I can do that until, for me, I understand it's just once I start getting a little bit too slim, then I'm like, yo, I'm about to just go eat. That's the only thing that make me change up, is when it's just all right, now, what you trying to do? What you trying to accomplish? But yeah, definitely fasting is a discipline thing. Fasting is very beneficial. And fasting is something that everyone should actually do. You should challenge yourself. Just see how long it takes for you, to be able to give in on eating. Give yourself a particular amount of hours to say, oh, okay, I'm not gonna eat till the night or tomorrow morning or whatever. And if they educate themselves on the benefits of it, they'll do it more often.
Yeah, it's definitely good. Look, I don't do the whole 24 hours or a couple of days without eating, but tonight I will eat, and then I won't eat until about 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. And it's definitely 100% a lot better.
Yeah, for sure.
In my opinion. My podcast today was going to cover boxing, which I feel like we've done. There's a couple of questions in there that maybe I missed, but we'll save it for a third time, maybe when you're world champion. And I wanted to ask you a bit about, the vegan, your diet, wellness. I want to ask you one last question that's got no association with any of these topics, because I feel when I speak about Bryant Jennings, apart from being this great boxer, great man, etc., you're a person that is not afraid speaking your mind.
Right.
You've always, challenged what's going on out there, whether that was lockdown COVID, whether that was politics in boxing, whether that was sometimes beliefs in other areas. I think, I think you're a guy that will put your opinion out there for good or worse, and you stand on it, which I think that's very, very credible.
Right.
Donald Trump.
I knew that was coming.
He nearly got assassinated.
Yeah, I knew that was
coming. Was the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, was that staged, or was that just a random nutty guy that tried to take him out?
I don't think it was. I personally, we don't have any facts, but I personally don't think it was staged by him. But I do think it was actually. I do believe that. I do believe it was a setup of some sort. Of course, it obviously was a setup, but I just think that some people on the side that that was supposed to be for him, I think people participated in it, and I don't think they want him to actually win, right? And here's the thing about the way the world works and the politics and things like that, right? And if the majority of the world wants something, you got to go against it, because you would be led right into the fire or whatever. Because technically, let's say for instance, even with the whole vaccine, everybody's saying, yeah, get it. Every newscast and everything, yeah, do this, do that, and the right thing to do was to not do it. And so now it's almost like in relationships, right? If a guy keep trying to hate on this other guy and tell his girl, yeah, don't mess with him. He be doing this, he be doing that. And the girl really, if she don't really see, like if those issues don't really stick out with that guy, she's gonna become more curious. You're actually making her want to go and see for herself. And so now you're actually pushing her towards that. And so the amount of hate that Trump gets, a lot of people is actually being drawn towards him because they're just thinking like, oh, wait a minute. Y'all is painting this dude out to be this super bad guy, regardless whether he is or he isn't to some people, this super bad guy. And the people who's actually pushing it or the other people they're known to be even worse. And so what makes you think I'm going to believe a hater calling somebody else a hater? It's just like, oh, wait a minute. Like, yo, y'all forgetting that y'all are haters too, or y'all are bad people too. And so I realize that, if you're going to go with something, go against what everybody is going. That'll give you a real good reason to really make that type of decision, because, it's everybody's follow the leader nowadays.
Yeah. I'm going to bring the conversation to a close, and also the podcast, because I know you probably have to get off. But when I do want to ask you, you're American, right?
Right.
Are you for Trump?
If I had to be for someone, yes, I would be for Trump. Technically, I believe even when they come up with so even with this thing with the melanated people, which AKA people call themselves, black. I always use the term melanated because black is actually a legal term, and people just don't fucking get it. And so when Trump comes up with the thing, make America great again, right? And you have people, you have those melanated people that say, when was America ever great? And they talking this racist stuff. And I'm just thinking like, if you look right now, 2024, right? 2019, America was greater than it was today. As time go on, it gets worse. And so technically, we can even go back to 2011 or 20, whenever. It was greater than it was now. So economically, America used to be, a great country. Great import, exports, different relationships with different things. And of course, American is like the king of colonizers. So, they always colonize, Middle Eastern countries for their centralized banking systems and things like that. I guess the alliances that America actually possessed, it overrode a lot of bad publicity, and it was always called a great country. We had the American dream. There is no more American dream and none of that. And so when they say make America great again, it's just like economically we're getting worse. So at least we can rewind it back 5 years, 10 years. We're not talking like maybe like back in the 60s where there was segregation and things like that. But I just believe that concept of that is to actually make it a better, make it great again economically. Because technically when Trump came in, he understood that he was more so of a businessman, and economically he was put in the position to be president economically, to be able to bring the country back based off of his expertise and being a billionaire and things like that, with moving around the money and stuff like that, not necessarily with wars and stuff like that, because all the presidents are puppets anyway. But I just think that people have a huge misconception about different things, and I just think that us, as far as like the melanated people, the melanated community, which we're the ones that paint Trump bad. I mean, if you're a Caucasian in America and you painting Trump bad, it's just like maybe like you're a liberal or something, like But it's just like for the most part, some people even get to the point where they feel like Trump is for them, whether they racist or whatever. But I just don't. I can only speak for us, but I do understand it's like it's never going to get better for us. We have to be able to collectively do something for us, period. But I just think that Trump is not as bad, and the fact that when they say what they say, there's no real hardcore context to be like, oh, okay, choose this person, or better yet, choose this person. Like Biden and Kamala, like what did they do for the last 4 years? And so with Trump, even when Trump said the black jobs, and I'm just thinking like, okay, people misconceive that as well, and they just think, oh, what's a black job? And I'm just thinking like, technically, when you look at the unemployment rate or whatever, and you start to think at if you are creating jobs for people, and it's just like, okay, we're creating new jobs. And okay, and who's number one on the unemployment rate? And they say, okay, the black people. I say, okay, we create new jobs. These new jobs are for black people, regardless whether they're low end jobs, because technically we all have the ability, not opportunities, but the ability to be able to that's very touchy there. But these new jobs, whatever, it's like, oh, okay, these jobs could be actually for black people, but technically, these jobs are now being held by the immigrants, and the immigrants are now the new black people. And the crazy thing is, the more I say black, because black is a term that means dead in the not dead in the eyes of the law, but black is just dead. And so technically black has no, what country do black people come from? There is no country, there's no nation, there's no flag, there is no nationality of black. And so black is a legal term to the point where it was like, it's it's just there. And it's just dead. It's just, that's the reason why it's a term in the Latin law. It's called civilita mortuus. It's in the Black's Law Dictionary and everything. It means you're civilly dead in the eyes of the law. And that's basically what it is to be able to claim yourself to be black. But that's a whole, you see how I set up and all that stuff. That's a whole different segment. But I do believe that if you're going to choose, I don't vote. I don't vote at all. I don't choose. And as a Muslim, if you are forced to vote, then you would vote with one of the lesser of two evils, in a sense, if you feel like you're being able to force to vote. But technically, we follow our religion so hard that we are not necessarily supposed to be able to participate in such a thing. But if you are going to vote, it's like I would rather somebody vote for Trump. Period, point blank.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
My last question, which I asked you last time, was I've got a quote catchphrase, and it goes like this: "Be happy, never content." Bryant Jennings, professional boxer, the comeback man. What does "be happy, never content" mean to you?
So being happy and never content is just understanding growth. Understanding that your happiness is something that's continuous. Happiness is not just one point of life. Like you could be happy today, but then you could be sad or unhappy tomorrow. So happiness is just something that you have to continuously work on. Same thing as success. Success is just a point of your life, but success, you could be successful today and be failed tomorrow. So success, once you reach that either happiness or success, and this terms is happiness, then you have to be able to maintain the happiness. But just don't be content with the happiness that you maintain from the previous day or the happiness that you project to maintain for the next day. Always strive to be more happier than you expected to be, and don't necessarily be content with your happiness, because contenting with happiness, you'll get used to it, and then you'll just it'll diminish on its own.
Lovely response.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time, bro. Be happy, never content. Make sure you're subscribing, and make sure you're watching this man's next fight.
You already know what it is.
All good.
All right.
Nice one, bro. Thank you.
Yeah.